Motivation is just like a lemon. At first, you squeeze it and so much juice comes out, but then the more you squeeze, the harder it gets to actually get a single drop. Why is that? And how can understanding dopamine, willpower, and decision fatigue actually help you on your fitness journey? This video is basically going to be how to hijack your body to have more discipline and have more motivation to get to your fitness goals in 2025. First, let's talk a little bit about what is dopamine. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain that basically give you that feel-good feeling when you achieve something rewarding, for example doing a workout or when you scroll on your phone, handful later. Now, why does this matter? Basically, when dopamine is high in your body, you're driven, you're focused, you're motivated, you get shit done. But when it's low, this is when motivation actually drops. And this is why knowing how to optimize your dopamine levels in your body is going to be really helpful in actually getting to your goals. Because let me rephrase what I was saying. Dopamine equals motivation. High dopamine, high motivation, getting shit done. Dopamine plays a critical role in reinforcing good habits because it gives you that pleasure, that satisfaction of having done something good for yourself, and therefore you're more likely to pursue this habit and keep on doing it. So when an action is paired with a reward, the brain's neural pathway actually reinforces that as a good action, a good behavior to keep on doing because raises of dopamine. But even more than that, studies have found that dopamine not only just spikes when you reach a goal, but also when you anticipate the reward. So just thinking about how you'll feel good once you do your workout, for example, will get you motivated because you will get that spike of dopamine. And that's why I keep telling you about my reward system, just because that directly gives you that reward, that feel-good feeling that reinforces the idea of, okay, I'm gonna keep on doing that. Now let's get back to my lemon analogy for a second. First, you have, that first squeeze of lemon when you get most of the juice out. So that's basically when you start a new project, a new fitness routine, let's say at the 1st of January, or your New Year's resolutions. And that's because the novelty actually excites the brain. That gives you a rush of dopamine, therefore a rush of motivation. And this is why with incremental progress, for example, lifting heavier or losing a pound actually gets you more motivated, because when you reach that goal, you've got a little bit of a shot of dopamine and therefore you're more motivated to keep going. Obviously, over time, you're gonna reach a plateau because the novelty basically wears off. Doesn't feel as new, doesn't feel exciting, same old, you've been doing that for 2-3 weeks. Did you know that nearly 1 in 4 people actually quit on their New Year's resolution within the first week, and then 80% before February hits? And this is why I hate the concept of New Year's resolution, because it just sucks. Now let's talk about overstimulating the lemon or dopamine, because there's also a little bit of that going on. As I've said a little bit earlier, you get a shot of dopamine when you finish a workout, when you anticipate a reward, but also when you scroll on social media, or even when you binge eat or eat a lot of sugary food, you deplete your brain's sensitivity to dopamine, making it harder and harder to have it have the same effect as it used to. And this is why Dr. Anna Lemke, a psychiatrist, calls a dopamine deficit state. So this is basically when you're training your brain to crave instant reward versus delayed gratification from a workout, for example, or when you lose the weight, or when you work on a specific goal that is long term. So let's keep going with this analogy. We're gonna see willpower as the force by which you actually press the lemon. This is basically what helps you stay motivated even when motivation fades and you basically have to press really hard to get a single drop. But again, willpower isn't unlimited. Studies from current directions in psychology science shows that willpower is basically like a muscle, so it gets fatigued when overused. But the good news is it acts like a muscle, so you can also strengthen it. Now let's link willpower and dopamine, shall we? When dopamine is low, it takes more willpower to be consistent. That's why you feel like you have to push really hard on specific days when dopamine is low to get through a workout or even get yourself to do it in the first place. So how can we optimize dopamine to actually make sure that you're more motivated to keep on going? Let's talk about the science of how dopamine spike and drops in the system. When you wake up, your body first experiences a peak of cortisol. Yes, it's the hormone of stress, but it's also really good, to wake yourself up and feel alert. And at the same time, dopamine also rises naturally for that boost of energy and focus on the tasks that matter. Now here is the problem that I keep hinting at. When you check your phone immediately after waking up, within the first 30-60 minutes, you actually get that quick shot of dopamine because of the float of extra stimuli from the phone. And that will definitely deplete your dopamine levels or prevent your body to react to the external environment as a stimuli for dopamine, because it only starts to rely on the phone. Also disrupts cortisol levels, because having a ton of emails to answer to or having to scroll on social media, comparing yourself and so on, can actually lead to an increase in cortisol in the body, and that's completely unnecessary. And that leads to anxiety and maybe long-term cortisol levels and maybe long-term stress, which leads to fatigue, so less energy to get to your workout. Now, let's get back to dopamine. As I said, scrolling through your phone is sort of going to hijack your brain by delivering that quick hit, and therefore your brain is going to want that instant reward. It makes it harder for you to stay motivated and do the meaningful task just because you've checked your phone first thing in the morning. And now let's tie that to decision fatigue, which I've mentioned at the beginning but haven't talked about much yet. Decision fatigue happens when your brain gets too tired from making so many decisions throughout the day, from what to wear, what to eat, what to post, what to like, which emails to answer and when. And that's why you actually make poorer decisions. Now, it's not just you. A study found that judges also make poorer decisions as you get through the day, just because of decision fatigue. You just get tired. So it's not just a you problem. Now, the thing is, as I said, that scrolling through your phone actually forces you to make more micro decisions that you need, because you check out what you post, what you like, should you reply to this email, should you answer this message, and these seemingly very small choices actually add up, and that will deplete your mental energy, and therefore decision fatigue comes faster, making it harder to make the smart choices for your goals throughout the day. Now let's talk about how to reignite the juice, because obviously that's what we want, being motivated and disciplined. The first, most obvious thing is to reduce phone usage, at least for the first 30, maybe 60 minutes, ideally 60 minutes when you wake up. Don't touch your phone, don't look at your phone, read a book, go for a walk, do your workout, don't touch your phone. If it's too hard and you tend to reach out to it when you wake up, just charge it in another room and find another way to get an alarm in. I'm also a big advocate for the fact that when you understand why you're doing what you're doing, it gets so much easier to actually follow through, just because you understand the consequences of your actions or inaction. So hopefully this video will help you stay away from your phone. Second thing is set achievable small goals. Basically, because breaking down your goals and actually hitting them, for example, let's say 1 or 2 pounds per week, and hitting them every week will keep that dopamine release high. Frequently reaching small goals actually makes motivation higher long term, and therefore you get to your long goals at some point. 3, train your brain to delay gratification. Instead of having those quick hit from the phone, learn to practice self-control. A lot of studies actually show that when you do that, you have a higher motivation, higher discipline level, and therefore are way more likely to actually reach your fitness goals. 4, mental rehearsal. I made a video about why it is absolutely one of the best things. Visualization is not just woo-woo. A lot of athletes do it, a lot of successful people do it, so why not you? And as I said, it ties back to anticipating and visualizing the reward spikes the dopamine, and therefore you have the motivation to follow through and get your workout done. For example, eat healthy, follow the plan, because you anticipate and visualize yourself when you lose the weight, after a workout, stuff like that. Now 5 is a bit of a tough one because it's about exercising regularly, which is potentially what you're struggling with in the first place. However, physical activity naturally boosts dopamine levels. So it's basically a positive loop. You want motivation to work out, so you work out, so you get the motivation to work out, so you work out. And that's just that reinforcement that I've talked about at the beginning. 6, automate decisions. You really want to save your willpower for what matters the most. For example, at the end of the day, I prepare everything that I will need for the next day, so I don't have to worry about that. From my workout clothes to my breakfast, and even logging my meals before the next day has been so helpful, because all I have to do is eat. And as Atomic Habits author James Clear say, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your system. 6 is know when to time your hardest task. That is why I definitely encourage you to do your workout first or second thing in the morning, because this is when you have the most willpower before it gets depleted by all the micro decisions you have to make throughout the day. So based on your most important goals, plan everything ahead and plan everything at the beginning of the day. I know that the longer I push my workouts throughout the day, the less likely I am to actually get it done. And 7, practice novelty. Try out a new recipe, try a new workout class. When you introduce new challenges and new routine in your plan, you actually get that sense of novelty that, as I said, spikes dopamine and therefore makes you a bit more motivated. And that's how you get to results like this. So motivation, willpower, dopamine, and discipline are all connected. Dopamine is the juice that drives you forward. Willpower is how hard the squeeze to keep you going. And to stay consistent, you need to learn how to better manage your day so you have a lower chance to being a victim of your decision fatigue and lower lower willpower, when you set up systems that actually help you conserve energy. Now, if you want a little bit of help, and if you're someone who wants to lose 20 plus pounds within the next 90 days without starving yourself, spending hours doing cardio every single day, without saying goodbye to your favorite food and your social life, and of course, without getting the weight back, highly suggest you apply for one-on-one coaching down below. It's a free call just to see if and how I can help you, and if I can, I will welcome you into my program. Again, I've done it myself. My clients are now doing it, so why not you? And if you do everything that I say, if you follow the plan and nothing works, I refund you in full because this is how confident I am that my method works. But yeah, that was pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And it was a bit of a sciencey video, but I'll see you in the next one.